10:13 hours 26 minutes is 45 seconds is .6392. Trade Mihail Pyro Meetang Sorry only for heroic chanter for 13 hours dexterity 7 minutes math side seconds is .58 14 hours 31 mm 48 seconds is .5 21 minutes and 14 long joint 7 with Arbor Scythian needed tank 5 14 hours 33 minutes lost 3 seconds is .49 11 enchanter with plus fire is AFKRS arbiter for the discussion most solo bees will be fine, no potential for aggro. Hi, all. So, here we go. Question 1. Are friendships formed within VWs real? From the survey data, 72% of 3.200 respondents answered yes when asked whether they had become good friends with someone they met in an online game, so we know that most gamers feel that there is something to these friendships. On the whole, though, I think it's more productive to think about how online relationships provide different social spaces than FF relationships, rather than to compare the two and say that one is more real or better than the other. Shouldn't it depend on a working definition of friendship? It's always interesting to me that I have colleagues who I see less of than gamer friends. Yet my gamer friends need to be defended in terms of their realness. May also be productive to ask how friendships formed in VWs are different from those formed in other online spaces. One of the basic issues behind a lot of our questions today is the real-virtual divide. Scholars maybe spend too much time worrying about that as a whole. Youth and young adults have relationships that span virtual and real quite naturally. Want to tackle what real may mean then? Can it not be a user divide? Heavy digital users versus light, you that by real most folks mean consequential in some way. There is writing on an extension of the virtuality continuum at augmentology.com, extending the notion to a reality spectrum. You can walk away from VW relationships in a way that physical, embodied, present relationships can be difficult to shed. Do VWs function as meaningful third places, in the Oldenburg sense? We are in a post-neighborhood bar era. Unrelated to age, heavy users have more relationships through computers than light users. One can also walk away from RL relationships, differently than embodied relationships, but not radically so. Only in that it's easier to avoid the person afterwards. It's also important to remember that different people want different things and form different kinds of relationships in these worlds. The kids I work with don't really have access to unmoderated, unsupervised play spaces like my own generation had. It's considerably different to ignore someone or change your identity in the real world. Question. Do the values encoded into a space, think GTA or WoW, matter? Is anyone playing WoW going to become environmentally more aware? I question the tendency to overread the meanings of much of the content of WoW and similar spaces. It's not that they don't have reference to the world, but I think some scholars tend to see far too tight a consequential mapping. But I think this about most popular culture. I think they matter in the same way as with other cultural products. They give consumers clues as to what their culture does and doesn't value and how. And there are different levels to value coding. For example, whether it's blatant or something you discover in experimentation and trials, like figuring out that Caesar will always attack you unprovoked in Civ. I don't think there's a special simulationist problem with game. Like much of the best modern art, WoW is morally ambiguous, on one level, promoting loyalty to the group, and on another level, suggesting to more sophisticated players that the group leadership is corrupt and does not deserve loyalty. The concept of values altogether remains controversial in social science.